Hi, welcome back to The Edge of Conception. My name is Liz and I'm a certified nurse midwife, and today I want to talk to you all about your menstrual cycle, specifically how it is seen and should be seen as a personal report card every single time it happens. No matter how the frequency is, it is just giving you more information on what's internally happening in your body and how we can connect it to not only the physical health side effects of it, but also the mental and the spiritual sides of it. So that's what we're talking about today, and that's what we talk about in general on The Edge of Conception, bringing in important topics around conception, fertility, postpartum pregnancy, and just general gynecological care through and with the basic lens of information, then transcending it to how does that affect our mental, our emotional, and our spiritual relationship with ourselves. So if you like this, please stay tuned. Please click like and subscribe, and I would love to know your comments down below as we go through this series. Awesome. So if you see me looking down, I have my notes written out so that I want to give you all the important information in the front end so that we can get into the actual, I view as the real meat and potatoes of it all. But we have to start off with a general basis about what the menstrual cycle is. It is, to most people on average, a monthly cycle where your uterine lining sheds, and this shedding is not only initiated through a hormone change that is normal within the whole menstrual cycle phase. And when I say menstrual cycle, I'm really speaking towards the actual from the end of a period to another end of your period. So that full month and a half or however long it is for you from period to period, that is the menstrual cycle. The actual bleeding phase, what people call their period, is just the menstrual or the menses, right? But the actual cycle goes through multiple phases from the follicular stage through the ovulation phase, through the luteal phase, and then starting back again with the menstrual bleeding phase. So these are all having hormonal shifts, sometimes triggered by ovulation, sometimes not. Just because you have a period doesn't always mean you ovulate. So let's get more into it. When we're speaking about a regular period, this is a regular 28-day cycle where you have bleeding for about 5 to 7 days, and then you have almost like a 10-day to 14-day period where you're in your follicular phase, and then you have 2 days of ovulation, and then you have another 2 weeks of the luteal phase, and then you have the initiation of your menstrual cycle again. The reason why I put this all in quotes is that most people, as you already know and probably have for yourself, do not have a regular menstrual cycle. They have an irregular menstrual cycle. And this can come on due to any part of these phases that I just listed out, either the menstrual phase, the follicular phase, the ovulation phase, or the luteal phase, that all these things are not the average. And currently, I would say, like, the information says about 25% of women have irregular menstrual periods, but I would say that that number is probably a little bit higher for sure. In the length of time their actual bleeding phase is, some people have really short bleeding phases of like 3 days, which we would consider irregular. Some people have really long bleeding phases, which we would say is more than 8 days. Some people have very heavy bleeding phases. Some people have very crampy bleeding phases. Some people have very light bleeding phases, all very irregular. And then moving on to the follicular stage, some people's phases may be really short, not a 10-day or 14-day. It could be just a couple of days, like 5, 6. And then ovulation may or may not happen, so that also changes the aspect of, are you ovulating, are you anovulatory, and all these things. And then the luteal phase is really what is standardized amongst all women, that it's usually 10 to 14 days, because that's how long the egg has to be viable with the corpus luteum, which is the aspect of the egg that stays alive for 10 to 14 days. That may also be variable, but majority of the time it's not. and then the initiation of your menstrual cycle or your period again, right? So there's all these little points throughout this whole like setup and the cycle that could be irregular. And now that you're listening to my voice, you're probably already know like, oh, mine is kind of irregular. Like it's heavier, it's shorter, it's lighter, or it's longer. It's not a 28-day cycle. It's probably a 32-day cycle or a 40-day cycle, right? I only have a period every 2 weeks or 2 months, or I have a period like 3 times a year, or I don't have a period at all. I haven't had a period, or I'm having a period like twice a month. All this is irregular. And with this irregularity, I want you to see it as information. Information for yourself, information to equip yourself to reach out and set up an appointment with a healthcare provider, a gynecological provider, a midwife, a physician, a nurse practitioner, a physician associate, a healthcare provider, to sit down and share with them your actual menstrual cycle data. Like, I've noticed that it's hard for me to track my periods. I've noticed that my periods actually come too frequently or are coming too far away. I've noticed that my bleeding and my cramping is really, really heavy. I've noticed that I don't have a period at all. Whatever these things, these notices are, empowering yourself through listening to this to actually set up an appointment to reach out to a healthcare provider and attend the appointment so that you can share these findings. Now, with this information, I also want you to feel personally empowered once you're also working with your specialist to also know that the routine route of care will vary, but in general, it may be telling you to continue to monitor, continue to assess. It may include an ultrasound of some sort, if depending on what your symptoms are and how extensive they are. A pelvic ultrasound may be offered to you, maybe. And then also the treatment plan. The treatment plan may be to start taking your pain medication a little bit earlier, or take it for longer, or increase your dose of your pain medication if you're having painful cramping. It may be to try a progesterone trial that we sometimes do to make sure that you are actually able to bleed if you haven't been bleeding. It may also be discussing birth control options and contraception options to help regulate and facilitate the regulatory, or decrease the pain, or change the bleeding pattern. There's many reasons why birth control would be on the table. So those are like just initial formats or initial things that may be offered to you when you go to your appointment. What may not always be really given to you as to what's going on is why it's happening. And I think that's the question that kind of either many women get stuck with, and also many women get lost within, and then they just move on and just accept whatever treatment plan is offered to them, which is good. The why this is happening for so long is something that just takes a lot of time to deconstruct, not only with yourself, but also with your healthcare provider. That may take months to years to fully find out. We know stories of women who've taken decades just to get diagnosed with endometriosis, and yet the why the endometriosis is still on the table. We know what endometriosis is, we know why clinically it happens, and we know how it manifests in the body. But the deeper why of like why endometriosis, why these things are happening, why is something that this is a personal cycle that you probably have noticed your friends have gone through, you have gone through, just women in general go through, to ask themselves, like, why am I feeling like this? Like, why is this happening to me? Like, what is the bigger reasoning for this? And the bigger reasoning may not be a clinical reasoning at all. The bigger reasoning may not be associated to anything related to your family history. It may be a broader reason beyond our scope that we can do in like a 15-minute or 20-minute or 30-minute or 45-minute clinical visit. The why this is all happening to you in this moment, in this lifetime. Yet there is always a deeper why, and maybe the deepest why is found in going deeper into the psychosocial and emotional relationship you have with yourself. And I also want to deeply share with you how this information of recognizing that these signals that your body has been sending you is just one of maybe many signals your body has been sending you. We, especially as women who are working hard and achieving our dreams and going through the process of creating the life that we desire, many times have built up many walls to override this inner knowing and this inner belief system that we've always had since birth. We kind of tune it down so that we can work in this life and work in our corporations and work in our careers to attain the things that we need to attain and want to attain, because that's what drives us now. But this lowering volume of the symptoms that we have been poked at many times don't always have the time to loudly be acknowledged by us until we're in a moment of stability. And that's like the hallmark. If you're not in a moment of stability, none of this information will resonate. If you go in a moment of crisis, or like, I just need to get this done, you're going to get it done. You're going to get it fixed. And then we move on. But you never know really why this happens, because that takes time and it takes depth and it takes using all aspects of yourself. And if you're not ready for that, you're still stuck in a moment of crisis and you haven't reached stability to allow time, allow resources, and allow the money needed to actually focus onto what's happening and not only perform, but deeply integrate the new lifestyle modifications beyond just the conventional medicine treatment plan, but the actual lifestyle modifications needed to support this new understanding. We are inundated every day with more and more information from our own body that we simply silence until it crashes and burns and we're like needing our body to do something. We only want to think about our period until we need to know when our period is so that we can change our lifestyle patterns, or if we're trying to get pregnant. That's usually the only time that women actually care about their period. And I find that as someone who's also gone through those waves of like, do I care? Do I not care? That this is also adding to the reasons why these symptoms seem so extreme, because we haven't been paying attention for years and years and years. We have let it go for decades and decades and decades. And now we're at a head that we're now at a moment of stability that all the noise, all the body symptoms now are like screaming at you with a megaphone. And we're like, oh my God, I'm going to like literally lose it. Yeah. But we also have to acknowledge with ourselves that we haven't been listening. We haven't been acknowledging. We have not been validating. And so if we really want to get back to, well, why is this happening? It's going to take maybe the same amount of time, if not longer, to really get to the root cause of why this is happening. Why is this showing up? Why does this need to be seen and uncovered and resolved by me now? Why? So there are 3 questions that I've created that I wanted to share with you all that I feel like will help be reflective on everything that we just spoke about. The first question is, when did you last pay attention to your cycle beyond tracking the date it arrives? The second question is, what symptoms have you been normalizing that you have never actually investigated? 3, if your body has been trying to get your attention through your cycle, what do you think it would be saying? This level of inquiry and knowing and the willingness to actually listen to your body and listen to yourself takes more than the time allotted with a healthcare provider, with a midwife, with a physician, with a PA or an NP. It's going to take more than that. And so starting with this question and creating just that inner dialogue is a huge first step. And if you want greater support with it, I think that EDGE in particular, the experience that I've created for women to allow this space for themselves to really get into the nitty-gritty would be superbly perfect for you, because EDGE allows you to really ask the deeper questions about anything beyond just period, but also contraception, conception, pregnancy, postpartum, motherhood, all your deeper nitty grittier questions that you've wanted to ask yourself and have the space and time to calibrate your system now that you're in a moment of stability and now you just need time and depth, is that container in Edge. And you can find that link down below in the description box if you're interested in reading more through the 3-phase part of villainhood, archetype, and activation. So to close this all out, I would say that in general, your period is not something that's an inconvenience to you. And I think always starting with your attitude, especially thinking about the 3 reflective questions, your attitude towards your period greatly impacts how it's going to be. As much as that seems like a powerful one-to-one connection, I'm going to make it. But your attitude towards your period changes the way your period reacts to you. And for many, many years, you may have buried down not only the symptoms that your body has been telling you, but also your attitude towards those symptoms. And now that you've reached a place of stability, I am empowering you that it's now time to uncover them and see for yourself what truly lies forth and what it's really meaning for you. I truly believe that all negative, quote unquote, negative things that happen to your life is an opportunity to asset create. These are just hidden assets that you need to compress, work on with time and development so that you can create a real asset for yourself. It will be difficult, it will be long, and it will feel like you're walking through the dark. I don't want you to be afraid of the expectations so that you don't do them at all. I want to empower you with what it could be and so much more, with the knowing that not only is your body trying to tell you something, but also your attitudes, your mind, your soul is also trying to tell you something. And it's now time to decouple and discover. So if you like more videos like this, I would love for you to subscribe and like, and I would love to know your comments down below. And you also share with me more ideas to add to this series that we're creating within the Edge of Conception. And if you're interested in Edge the Experience, you can find it linked down below in the description box. I'll see you later. Bye.